It's the Score North Twin Show.
So I was on statmuse.com this morning where it's like an AI-generated sports statistical searching database. You can just like type in, Twins record versus Yankees since blank. I saw Declan retweeted, someone put out like a White Sox last 162 tweet. It was like they've won 50 out of their last 162 games. And then Declan came in with the Twins record against the Yankees in the last 162. So going back to 2002, the Twins now have a 44-122 record in the regular season and playoffs against the Yankees. That's like, 166 games or whatever. Mm-hmm. How? Why? We've changed the roster 10 times. We've changed the managers. We've changed the front office. We've changed the uniforms. We've changed the stadiums. Both teams have changed the stadiums. Mm-hmm. Do we have any theories as to why this keeps happening for 22 years?
It defies logic. It really does. If you think about it, the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Okay? So the Yankees have been, they are ordinarily competitive, but they have not been a juggernaut that entire time, which, you wouldn't expect. 22 years. I think it defies all common sense, logic. When, as you said, Phil, everything has changed. The groups of players. 22 years ago, some guys on the Twins were how old? Royce
Diapers.
turned, if I'm not mistaken, Royce Lewis, who homered last night, turned 25, right? Yesterday, I think it was his 25th birthday. Happy birthday, Royce. He was 3 years old. So I don't think that I think you could search for it, but I don't think that there is any logical reason why why the tide has not turned at some point here. I think it's one of the most astounding things in sports right now because of the complete inability to understand how a team for a 22-year period can just basically get done over and over and over again.
I know some people kind of got sick of us talking about the playoff losing streak the Twins had over the last 20 years before it was snapped last year. And I think more national people definitely talked about it when the Twins were on national games. I don't think the national audience is aware of the most one-sided dominance in professional sports over the last 20 years that is the Twins versus Yankees.
It's wild.
It is insane. Like the White Sox over the last 162, that's a bad White Sox team. I don't think I could name three of the best players on those teams. If you look over the last 20 years of the Twins teams that have went toe-to-toe, rubber-to-rubber against those Yankees teams, you're talking Torrey Hunter, Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, Michael Kadire, Nelson Cruz. There's plenty of examples of really good players on the Twins that have been just starstruck, bleeping down their leg. It is the most profound thing I've seen in sports. There's going to be eventually, and I don't know if this will ever happen, but there's going to eventually be a youth movement or a generation of kids that could watch this turn the other way. Because I'm 30 years old. This thing started when I was 8 years old. I'm going to turn 32 in 6 months. It is a whole generation of just watching a team being the worst possible baseball team of all time against the most storied franchise of all. This isn't just like losing close games either all the time. This is typically ass kickings, and it's awful to watch.
In fact, I've done some more digging on this too, but just from a winning percentage standpoint, the last 22 years, so go back to 2002, that's where I'm starting because 2001, the Twins actually went 4-2 in the regular season against the Yankees, and they didn't face each other in the playoffs that year because the Twins didn't make the playoffs, but so 44-122. So on the flip side, the Yankees are 122-44 against the Twins. That's a 740 winning percentage the Yankees have against the Twins. The Yankees have the best overall record of any team in the American League going back to 2002, and that's a 583. So they win 58% of their games against everybody the last 22 years, but they win 74% of their games against the Twins. And the Twins over that stretch have the seventh best record in the American League. They've had some despite having like 6 or 7 really dark, bad years, the Twins still have the seventh best record in the American League. So it would be more explainable if it was the best team in the American League the last 22 years, the Yankees, are beating up on the worst team in the American League the last 22 years. But they're not. Like Declan said, the Twins have had viable players and teams, and half the years they've been to the playoffs. And it's not just close games. Here's the crazy thing. Look at the offense the last 22 years. The Yankees in those games have scored 920 runs to the Twins 640. The Yankees have scored 300 more runs than the Twins in these matchups going back to 2002. If you want to look at like OPS and some of the other numbers, the Twins collectively against the Yankees have a 695 OPS. The Yankees OPS is like 150 points higher, 830. So it's crazy, man. It doesn't make any sense. In some ways, you have to chalk it up to just like every iteration of the Twins gets nervous or feels the pressure in some way of walking into that stadium. Because I feel like after 22 years, it's beyond just like a weird small sample size fluke. You know, you lose some games to a team. It feels systematic at this point. But it's hard to blame somebody because they've changed out front office, like I said, manager, rosters. Royce Lewis doesn't seem to feel the pressure.
Right.
No.
He just walks in and hits bombs. Doesn't matter to him. So why do other guys wilt under the spotlight against this team?
That's what's so weird is that, you know, going into, I remember covering the 2019 playoffs, and basically the players at the beginning of the series in which the Twins got swept by the Yankees, the Twins players' point was, we're not intimidated by this. We're not, you know, this is not on us. We're going to be fine. And then they kept getting beaten down and asked questions. And sure enough, the series starts and the Twins take a lead, and that's it. And then they're done. The only season, so in that 22-year period, the only season in which the Twins won the regular season series was last year. They finally broke through. And that's the thing that's inexplicable to me. This Yankees team that we're currently watching looks like a juggernaut, okay? Like they look damn good. And that's fine. That's awesome. Good for them. But the reality is, to go back to my point, you know, I don't think they've been to a World Series since 2009.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So that's what I don't understand. Like if against the great teams or against this team, like when you're going Judge and Soto and Stanton, right? That's going to be tough. I understand that. But that doesn't explain away the Yankees teams that weren't as good and still beat you. That's what's so weird. The only streak that I can think about, and the sample size of games is smaller, but the extent is still basically the same. When the North Stars were an expansion team in 67, they went from 1967 to 1981 without ever winning a game in the Boston Garden. And they finally broke through in the playoffs in 81 after that big brawl game towards the end of the regular season. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's on that type of how do you not luck into more wins? Like, how do you not accidentally trip on a couple of wins, especially when those teams are not always great?
You can chalk a lot of unexplainable things in sports up to variance, like just something like we should talk about the Guardians here because Dex got into a fight with Guardians fans on the internet.
It's the most viral tweet I've ever had.
Nice.
It has 3 million views on Twitter.
Are you serious?
That's awesome because the Guards are cheating.
3 million views on Twitter.
I mean, they're cheating.
It's the most viral tweet I've ever had.
Well, let's come back to it in a second. But like the Guardians are 40-20,
right? And
you look at their team, it's like, yeah, they got a couple dudes on that roster, but not really. It's not a team that you would look at and say is 40-20. But then you dig in and, the Guardians are by far the best team in baseball with runners in scoring position. So if you look at the Guardians, the Twins have actually come to the plate more often with runners in scoring position than the Guardians have. But the Twins are 25th in OPS with runners in scoring position. The Guardians are number 1 by a mile. The Guardians collectively have a 900 OPS with runners in scoring position. They're batting 300. Their on-base percentage is a tick below 400. They've got the second or third most home runs with runners in scoring position. But it's a lineup of just a bunch of random dudes in like Steven Kwan and Ramirez. They've got like 3 really good hitters track records. But I look at that and I say, well, that's explainable. They're going to come back to earth with runners in scoring position. They aren't the best hitting team in baseball. They're just getting hits at the right time, which is generally something that's not like super sustainable over the course of long snap. So like you can explain that. That makes sense. That's going to come back to earth. They're going to start losing games at some point, right? Twins are probably going to get better with runners in scoring position because Royce Lewis is back in the lineup. The Yankees-Twins thing, there is no explanation for it other than the Twins get oddly nervous or uptight collectively as a franchise for 2+ decades when they walk into those games against the Yankees. That's the only logical explanation at this point.
And when they were here 2 weeks ago, they were at Target Field and they swept the Twins. I never got the sense that there was like the nervous feeling from the fans. Like obviously I'm in the press box, the windows are open, like you can feel atmosphere for those type of things. And it's a regular season game in May as opposed, like when they have played the Yankees in the playoffs. So it's going to be, not as heightened. But I didn't get the sense that like, oh man, the Yankees are here and our clammy palms are starting to sweat and here come all these random Yankee fans that are entering Target Field. I didn't sense that energy at all, and I kind of thought, okay, this should be a fun little series. The Yankees are really good. They're probably maybe even the best team in the AL, but you got smoked through the entire series, and the same things are happening this year at Yankee Stadium. You're getting down early. It feels like you're down 2-0 after the top of the first, and it feels like you're down 12-0. And there's going to be no sense of a comeback. And credit to the Twins, like they chipped away yesterday, but it still felt like an insurmountable type of deficit where they weren't even going to be able to come back.
Dude, and just one more number here. The worst teams in baseball every single year, like the 60-win teams, the worst teams in baseball, still win 35 to 40% of their games. Because it's baseball, man. Like the Pirates can face the Yankees and they're going to win once in a while. The Royals have the worst record in baseball despite winning a World Series during that 2-decade stretch. The Royals have the worst record in baseball the last 22 years. And they have a better record against the Yankees since 2002. Because it's baseball. The worst teams are going to beat the best teams once in a while. A pitcher gets hot, a lineup goes cold. So, like, again, it would be explainable if it was the worst team in baseball running its head against the best team in baseball. But it's not. It's a team that goes to the playoffs all the time the last 20 years, or like half the years. So, oh, man. I wish there was an explanation so you could, like, pinpoint, like, a logical one or somebody that you could look at and say, this quarterback is failing, or this starting pitcher. But it's everything. Everything except for, like, Royce Lewis and Miguel Sano, who I think dominated the Yankees for several years.
I believe, if I am not mistaken, this started around the time in the old stadium that Jason Giambi hit a game-ending home run off of Mike Tremblay, who was in stint 2 with the Twins. And perhaps the bad luck was I was actually there, seeing a buddy.
At the game.
I was in the stands. I think it was like in the 10th, and Tremblay gives up a blast, and I think that sort of like started this weird cycle. But yeah, I think we could sit here for the entire day, like speculating, talking about it. I don't think there's a reason that makes any sense.
Yeah. So go get them today. Go salvage 1 and 6
left
against the Yankees.
Just win one.
One left.
God. If they win one, the Dex 4.0 plan is back on track. Just got to take 2 out of 3 then from the Pirates for this phase. But so yeah, you what are we up to now? 3 million views on you retweeted a video from TikTok of somebody explaining like why the Guardians with their stadium alterations are taking advantage of new jet streams inside Progressive Field, apparently.
So just under 2 million views. It's the most viral thing I've ever put out on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. And basically, my TikTok algorithm, which actually isn't a lot of baseball stuff, believe it or not. It's mostly WWE and for whatever reason, like people getting pulled over for speeding tickets. I don't know why, but I love watching people being idiots when trying to figure out their license and registration. Anywho, so this one popped up, and Progressive Field removed these like basically big pillar type of like storage unit things in the top right field section of their stadium. And it's created almost like this wind tunnel. Now, I've had local weathermen from Cleveland tweet at me saying it has nothing to do with the wind tunnel and the apex of the baseball.
That's because they're homers. Those local, you can't trust those local Cleveland weather people.
But in the video, they talk about a Jose Ramirez home run, not the game winner that he hit on the Friday series that I was at, but I believe it was Saturday or Sunday, and it had like an expected batting average of like sub 200, and the same ball that was hit at the same velocity and apex last year was an out by, 20 feet in front of the track. Yeah.
Max Muncy drilled the ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So, I mean, I think Cleveland is really good because I did watch them for the 3 games, but like their home run rate went up from the dead last in baseball to 15th in baseball overnight. And I can just also confidently say, like, teams look for any type of advantage in their own stadium to try to exploit and try to take advantage of. I've talked to Twins players about the weird wind tunnel that has now come in from the left side where balls that were being hit in April and May that Rocco said, like, there's something spooky going on in this stadium. Those balls go out 95% of the time, and for whatever reason, they're being pushed back in, and their warning track flies, or they're just a fly ball can of corn out. So teams look for advantages. Like when I got the notes of, hey, the other team has to hit the bats too in the bottom half of the inning or top half of the inning. It's like, yes, but you guys are playing there every single day, and of course you're going to try to exploit any type of advantage you have. I think Cleveland's really good. They're probably the second best team in the AL. But I do think them opening up this little wind tunnel, which some weathermen have already disputed to me, has led to a great uptick in success for Cleveland this year.
There's zero. I don't know what they're even arguing, dude. Because if you look at the park factor, so the rate at which a ball will fly out of the ballpark in any given stadium, when you compare like how those hitters hit at home versus not at home, Progressive Field was one of the hardest places to hit a home run in like 2021, 22, 23. And now it's like one of the 3 easiest places to hit a home run. And it's not just because like your specific lineup is hitting more home runs. It's relative to the rest of the league and the rest of the averages. So I don't know, man. Like I know that they always find a way. For 20 years, that team always finds a way to just bring in new pitchers. Their bullpen is legit. Class A has allowed 1 run. I think he's walked like 3 guys all year too in the first 2 months of the year. So like their bullpen is legit. They have a super top-heavy lineup. They've got, like, Naylor is always going to hit for power, and Ramirez, obviously. Steven Kwan is a really good hitter, but I don't know. I don't think you're going to have a 900 OPS with runners in scoring position. Like, in the highest leverage situations, the Twins have been terrible. The Guardians have been great. I think that starts to level out on both sides, and I still think there's a chance the Twins could track Cleveland down. So, but they've built up enough equity now where, like, they're 20 games over 500. They're going to make the playoffs at this point.
Now, this potential conspiracy theory is intriguing because it reminds me of the Metrodome when Bobby Valentine, who was at the time managing the Rangers, claimed that the Twins would turn the air on going out when they were at bat and reverse it when the opponents came up to blow balls back in. So I always love this, but Target Field's problems or changes, the Twins talked about this last year and said when those apartments are done over the left field wall, basically, it's going to change the wind tunnels and wind path here. So like if things have changed, I mean, it makes perfect sense that apartment complex alone would basically help kill balls, right?
Or would it be the opposite where the wind oftentimes is blowing in from left field and now there's just a big structure blocking it? So you're not going to have wind blowing in from left as often?
Yeah. I'm just saying it's not surprising. Like you can't build something that big and be like, nothing's going to change.
Is that open yet? Are they still building it?
No.
The apartment?
Like are people living? The people are living in there,
yeah,
right?
Twins
players live there.
A few Twins players live there.
Okay. So you could just be hanging out watching the game from your 20th
there
story.
There was an epic probably 20 near the top of that apartment, someone hung a Nas Reed towel during the playoff run, and they would show it. They would show the Nas Reed towel from all the way up there. So
that freaks me out, man. That's too high for me. I can't take that type of height.
I don't love heights, but I think it'd be really cool to be up there. I think I could sit up there for a little bit.
On a deck or on the main one? There's like it looks like
there's like an observation deck.
Yes, I could handle that.
Yeah.
The observation deck, but I'm saying
so you wouldn't want your own like
deck.
personal patio.
Yeah, it doesn't look. It looks like I would not farewell. I
It
think
would, it would take me a little bit, but I think I could do it.
You know that you wouldn't feel anything though. If you're on the 25th floor and you happen to like stumble your way over the railing, like you're not going to be in pain.
Goodbye.
It's just going to be over.
What's the last thing as the ball game is going on and you're falling?
I can see it.
Get another bat. That's
Bang.
the last thing.
That's what you're going to yell. You're going to
get another bat.
Encourage them.
Get another starter.
Your last dying words are going to be a trade deadline encouragement.
Pablo de my ass.
Let's get to a random twin of the week here, gentlemen. Presented by our friends at Element Hotel. If you're looking for a place to stay, maybe you're going to some Twins games or you're hanging out downtown, our friends at Element Hotel are very hospitable, Dex.
Yeah, they're just steps away from Target Fields. It's a good staycation. You can take the whole North Loop, make it into a weekend, catch a Twins game, go to one of the great restaurants. We talk about Red Cow, Red Rabbit on here a ton. You can step away from Target Field right down there. It's a Westin Hotel, Element Hotel in downtown Minneapolis. Free Wi-Fi. They're even pet-friendly, too. You can get a room rate for 15% off when you use scorenorth.com/element. 15% off your booking at scorenorth.com/element.
Time for the random twin of the week here, gentlemen, where we pit two members of the show up against each other. Baseball! In a battle of historical wits. It's Declan's turn to throw out the clues. The last handful of random twins are Carlos Gomez, Rick Reed, Pat Mears, Eric Milton, Dan Gladden, Al Newman. So I have 17 wins all time. Declan has 14. Judd has 11. It'll be Declan throwing out the clues to me and Judd. We get up to 3 incorrect guesses. If one of us hits a third strike, the other one wins automatically. No Googling. Here we go.
All right. Here we go. This random twin of the week, I almost said Viking, random twin of the week, played for 4 major league teams. All of them in the American League.
Junior circuit. Okay.
This random twin of the week was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sin City. There's actually like a good amount of players that have come out. Isn't Harper was from the Vegas area? Maybe Henderson technically, but
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This random twin of the week was a .274 career hitter. Pretty good average.
Okay.
According to Baseball Reference, this random twin of the week made about $13 million in his major league career.
So pretty good, but
Pretty good.
no big contract. Or old school. Could be old school.
Okay.
Kirby Puckett once made $3 million a year as the highest paid player in the league.
This random twin of the week is 54 years old.
I'm going to take a guess. Marty Cordova.
Wow, there it is.
Marty Cordova, official guess.
Dude, right, spot on. Wow. Judd Zolgad.
I
the
remember he
sports
was
dad.
in.
I remember he was from Vegas. That's what tipped me off.
What a performance. That's one of the more dominant
That
wins
was
in random twin history.
3 or 4 clues? maybe?
Back to back. Back to
Wow.
back, baby. I'm back.
He's
3
back
months
after
slump.
no wins in like 3.5 months.
Yep. It's new Judd. You know what I did? I went to St. Paul, did some podcasts, worked on my clues and guessing, and I came back. Just like Julian, who homered
Get a
last
home run.
night.
How about that? That was
Homered
a bleep
last
you,
night.
a
Apple.
bleep you homer. Was that his first plate appearance back too in the minors?
They got rained
got
out.
rained
I saw.
out yesterday, but I don't know or 2 days ago, I don't know if they started the game on time. I will say he had a fastball. I would have liked that to be a breaking ball.
Okay. All right.
Just saying.
Brooks Lee at shortstop made a great play, which was good to see for a guy who had a bad back too. Great play.
So basically, if Julian hits fastballs out of minor league parks, we're not counting those, right? Well, but if he's working counts that involve breaking balls to get to the fastball that he can
Yeah,
mash,
I don't know what pitch he hit. That's a good
avoiding a
point.
strikeout, maybe flicks off Did he foul off a breaking ball to get to a fastball?
It was a first pitch fastball to Julian.
There you go. So you do know that. And
so
yeah,
count.
you're right. Dex is right. Count. Team Dex here.
Yeah,
I agree.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Don't count in the stats. Hey, Herb, don't mark that one down in the scorebook for Julian. It doesn't count.
All right, there's your Score North Twin Show. Keep an eye out for Declan's extra innings bonus episodes too. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button on the brand new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. Just beat the damn Yankees once.
Just
today.
once.
Once.